There's a new way to hear what happened around town. Amplify Arlington is ACMi's newest podcast, airing bi-weekly on our public channel. Tune in for the latest news, local events, and share your stories to have your voice heard. You can listen, watch, or join me at the table to hear me say, "Hi there, I'm Josh Gishri, and you're listening to Amplify Arlington, a news podcast highlighting local stories and upcoming events." Let's dive into our stories, starting with Doug and the Studio ACA Gala Disco.
Studio ACA's Disco Extravaganza Gala transformed Town Hall into a glittering celebration, complete with shimmering disco balls, a lively photo booth, and an atmosphere that brought the community together over great food and shared excitement. One of the evening's standout moments was State Representative Dave Rogers presenting the McLennan Community Arts Award, honoring the Arlington Housing Authority for its contributions to the local arts community. Former Arlington town planner Alan McLennan, who the award is named for, was a key figure in establishing the ACA in 1988. The night also featured a spirited auction, where several items quickly drew competitive bids, including the first piece, which sold for over $1,000. Coverage of this event will be featured in ACMi's next newscast. And I'm going to throw it to Siska for news about the Arlington Jazz Fest.
Thanks, Doug. At Town Tavern, Dan Fox led an intimate performance for a crowd of around 50 people as part of the 13th annual Arlington Jazz Festival, delivering a lively set to kick off the multi-day event. Fox, who has organized festivities since 2012, brought performances to venues across town from April 4th to April 7th, closing with a sold-out show by Christian McBride at the Regent Theater. Known for drawing both local talent and internationally recognized artists, including groups like Esperalis from Cuba, the festival once again highlighted Arlington's vibrant and growing jazz scene. Coverage of the Town Tavern performance will also be in ACMi's next newscast. And now to Charlotte with Red Sox's opening day presentation at the COA.
Thank you, Siska. At the Arlington Council on Aging, longtime baseball historian Herb Crehan returned for a lively opening day presentation celebrating the enduring spirit of the Boston Red Sox. Drawing on his 30 seasons of interviewing former players and writing for the team's official publications, Crehan guided attendees through the history of Red Sox openers, beginning with the first game in 1901. With the 2026 season set to begin against the San Diego Padres, he shared trivia, standout moments, and even a look ahead at the team's prospects, wrapping up the engaging talk with a crowd vote for the most unforgettable opening day. And now I'll toss it to Stuart for a preview of Patriots Day.
Thank you, Charlotte. Arlington's 250th anniversary celebrations coincided with a substantial agenda of Patriots Day events that brought the town's revolutionary history to life, including a reenactment of Paul Revere and William Dawes' arrival in Menotomy. Weekend festivities included the Menotomy Beer Hall on Saturday at Arlington Town Hall, where residents gathered to enjoy local brews, food, and live music. Additionally, Family Day was on Sunday at the Jason Russell House, featuring historical demonstrations for all ages. Together, the events blended remembrance with celebration, drawing neighbors and visitors alike into Arlington's milestone year. Josh was on the scene to cover these events for ACMi's next newscast. And now I'll pass it to Josh.
Here's some upcoming events to look forward to.
On Saturday, April 25th, Park Avenue Congregational Church is having its annual rummage sale in the Heights from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This event will feature an array of affordable items, including clothing, shoes, housewares, books, toys, jewelry, small furniture, and more. Shoppers from across Arlington are invited for a day of bargain hunting and community connection. Donations help stock the sale, and remaining items will be picked up by the Epilepsy Foundation.
A new stage adaptation of Little Women comes to life this spring, as Lauren Gunderson's reimagining of the classic story opens May 1st and runs Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays through May 17th. Produced by Arlington Friends of the Drama, this play follows the beloved March sisters as they navigate family, ambition, and growing up during the Civil War, with a creative twist that weaves Louisa May Alcott herself into the storytelling process. Directed by David Warnock and supported by an award-winning production team, the show offers a thoughtful, family-friendly experience running approximately 2.5 hours with intermission. Tickets are $25, and more information can be found on afdtheater.org.
On May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Arlington Heights Spring Window Painting event will bring a splash of color to the neighborhood as local artists and community members transform windows into spring-themed works of art. Storefronts throughout Arlington Heights will serve as canvases for creative designs celebrating the season, turning the area into a walkable outdoor gallery.
The Middlesex Conservation District Spring Plant Sale will take place May 1st and 2nd, offering residents a chance to shop a wide variety of native plants, shrubs, and garden-ready selections. The annual sale supports sustainable landscaping practices and encourages environmentally friendly gardening across the region. Gardeners of all experience levels are expected to attend to find seasonal favorites, learn from conservation experts, and prepare for the spring planting season. Information on directions and ordering plants in advance can be found on middlesexconservationdistrict.org.
We hope you check out these local events if you've got time. Now let's turn our attention to our op-ed piece. I wanted to start this one today talking about some of the events that I got to attend over the weekend and over the break since our last podcast. I actually got to go to the disco extravaganza at the ACA, and I attended the opening night of Jazz Fest, which you can watch on our newscast, as we mentioned before. It was really cool to see Dan. I'll talk a little bit about the Jazz Fest first, just because it's fresher in my memory. But Dan's band playing at Town Tavern. It was a very moody environment. It was very like low lighting, but I'm not a particularly huge fan of jazz. I'm so sorry, but but I went in knowing this, that it's like this isn't necessarily the music event for me. Fantastic set. They really, I was like, oh, this kind of jazz is clearly the kind of jazz that I was looking for. It was really amazing to just be in that space and be also surrounded by a bunch of people who were like really into it. I mean, everyone was like having drinks and eating food, and like all the attention was on these performers that were just like in the corner of the bar. Like you could, like people were just like walking up directly into their faces to take pictures. It was like, you were right there. That's like such a cool opportunity. And then for the disco extravaganza, complete pivot. So fun to see all the people dressed up in the 70s style outfits. A lot of people had a lot of fun with the costuming of everything. Definitely vintage pieces that people held onto, which was
We've
really
got
cool.
them.
Yeah.
Polyester never dies.
It never
dies.
A lot of like shoe wear, like big boots that people were like switching out for more comfortable sneakers by the end of the night. But it was really fun. I got the privilege to attend last year, so I knew I wanted to go this year and help out as much as I could. So shout out to the ACA for putting on like an extraordinary event. I'm looking forward to everything they do upcoming.
Nice. To go back to the Jazz Fest really quick, so what stood out to me is you had said Dan Fox was drumming,
Yeah.
right, for the first event, which
drumming.
is crazy because he's also the one who organizes the event. So he's obviously like very passionate enough to be invested and to play in some of the events, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him, and he was so clearly like a musician. He was so into it, and like you could see how much fun he was having on the drums, and that carries into, yeah, it makes sense for the organizer of the fest too, and you know, someone who has their own studio in Arlington to be that involved and that passionate about, you know, being with other musicians. So it was really cool to see. I'll definitely listen to them.
When you said you weren't a fan of jazz to
Yeah.
begin with, so when you thought of jazz, what came to
I think of like
to
smooth jazz.
Like
Oh,
elevator.
like,
okay.
yeah,
music.
like
Oh,
Muzak
no.
kind of?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which is it's, and then there's the other side of jazz that I think that it can be really frenetic and chaotic and so loose and freeform that it's also hard to follow along with. But there's some sweet spot that it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, when everyone got a solo and everyone is just like having a good time jamming out together.
Mhm.
It was really, really nice.
You said there was a sax solo
There was
that
a
caught
sax
your
solo,
attention?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love a good sax solo.
I'm going to think of East Arlington now as this 1940s jazzy, nighttime kind of place, right?
Mhm.
From
Yeah.
what you're describing. So I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about town meeting, because as we all know, that's coming up. This year they have 96 warrant articles, which is higher than recent years. That means it's going to take a lot longer for them to get through everything. So it is a very packed agenda with a wide range of topics. One of the big topics, I believe, is going to be SCARs, which, for those who are unfamiliar, is second generation anticoagulant rodenticides. So those are the chemicals they're using to control rat and mice populations in Arlington. They are toxic, and I think they're finding out that they, last longer in the ecosystem. And I guess that's unlike the first generation versions they used. So the current ones, the anticoagulants basically get absorbed into carnivores that are then eating the mice and the rats, which is weakening their immune systems and potentially bad. So that's one of the topics. And then I wasn't sure if this was part of town meeting, but the second thing was the Fourth Amendment town.
The town is putting forth a resolution that it's basically standing strong with the idea behind the Fourth Amendment. So we know that the Fourth Amendment applies to everyone that is within the United States, but it's the town declaring that is an important facet of being a U.S. citizen and protecting those people that are living there.
So specifically in Arlington, they're making it a point to address that the Fourth Amendment will be respected and the Constitution will be respected, which I think is great.
And does this apply to non-citizens as well?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
that's part of the reason that they're
Yeah.
bringing this up and again becoming a Fourth Amendment town. I did not have time to look up what other towns have also done a similar thing.
And just to back up for our listeners too, on our government channel, our government coordinator, Sean, he will be at pretty much all of the town meetings recording. He will have someone step in for him while he is away, but there will be recordings for every single town meeting that happens. So ACMi is covering all 12. And that's a great opportunity for everyone within town to just be aware of all the things that are going to be impacting them. So I highly recommend, if you get the chance to go to our government page and watch those meetings.
Do these events and recordings offer an opportunity for town members or town citizens to participate or help out or to help with the recordings?
Yeah, so if you want to help Sean, please, by all means, reach out to ACMi. It would be great to have more volunteers, more people interested in covering, assist with the coverage of not just town meetings, but while town meetings are taking place, there are additional meetings that go on throughout town. That's just the nature of how this works. So we have people that can help out with, if you're interested in covering things like the zoning board or redevelopment board or the committees that deal with electrifying Arlington. There's something for every person that lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in a topic, it really commits you to going too.
Right.
Like if you're helping out. I know that happens with me. And you guys have a calendar, right? ACMi has a calendar where
Yeah,
your
so
crew calls are on.
we do have
Yeah.
members can sign up for being part of a member calendar, which will have basically all of the events that we are looking for crew to be on. And then in addition to that, all our members, as they know, hopefully, they will be receiving crew calls for when things go out. So we'll say, hey, it would be great if we got 3 people to go to this meeting or this event that's taking place. And I'll extend that to kind of any events in town. If you want to submit video or footage that you've taken from events, please do to news@acmi.tv. That's a great way to just be active and engaged and involved with what's happening.
I had a little thing that I noticed from walking my puppy in the park,
Oh, what happened?
Monotony Rocks Park. Well, for months, the equipment has been parked at the playground, which is in the back field of Monotony Rocks Park.
Mhm.
And the playground was torn down at least a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Anyway, and the swing set was left up, but the idea was to reconstruct a safe, kind of updated playground, because 30 plus years ago, the community came together and built the previous playground. But it
Needs
doesn't
updates.
it doesn't stay as nice as it was when we finished. But so they're back working at it now, and after it took a long time with the snow and ice, and
Sure.
so they're digging and constructing. Should be just a couple months probably before it's ready.
Awesome.
So is that it's an entirely new playground, or it's just updates? To
It's an entirely new playground. They tore it down. I don't know if they left the swings up for a while, but they may have taken them down too. So there's a big fence. And
That's exciting. Hopefully it'll be ready by at least like the spring and summertime.
yeah, I think it
people to-
should be. They've had enough time to plan it.
Yeah.
But we were all wondering as we walked our dogs around and around the pond when they would be back at it, and they are.
This one might be a bit of a retro event by the time people listen to it. It's tomorrow, so probably be a
it'll
retro event.
it'll be
Oh,
retro.
it would be, yeah.
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 But it's a good thing to talk about. This is a theater company I had not heard of before. True Story Theater.
Yeah, I heard about
Oh,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
You heard about this? Okay, I'm the last
Yeah.
one maybe.
No, it's
No,
a great
no.
thing
Yeah.
to remind people about. Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's an interactive, audience-involved performance. People are invited to share personal stories. They're interviewed on stage, and then the actors turn that story into a performance.
Oh.
Now, for people, I've been on both sides of theater stages here doing these types of things, and I know people get a little freaked out about interactive theater. They think they're going to be pulled up, without their consent to perform or something. It's nothing like that, and it's also nothing like I think you might think of as typical improv, because it doesn't sound like it's a necessarily always comedy, right? This is trying to bring a story to life. So this is tomorrow from 4 to 5:30 at the Arlington Center for the Arts, and True Story Theater is something people can look up and take a look and see when the rest of their performances are. It sounds like a really interesting thing, and it's also for the actors. That's not an easy thing to do. That kind of skill to kind of create that. So I wanted to mention that one, and then the other one is coming up on April 24th. It's celebrating the Regent Theater's 110 years
Whoa.
with an evening
Wow.
of vaudeville, which is for the young people who might not have heard of vaudeville. I'm too young for vaudeville too, which is sad. But
I mean, we were talking about disco earlier. So
I'm
I'm too
Yeah.
young for disco.
How old is he?
Yeah.
Vaudeville is like a variety show. That was a pretty common form of theater, in the late 19th century, early 20th century. It was big, and that's where a lot of performers got their start, and got to be very famous in that circuit. So this looks like a good evening. It's at the Regent Theater on April 24th, and I just I spoke too soon. I thought I memorized it. 7:30 to 11 p.m. on the 24th. Tickets available at the Regent Theater. It sounds like a fun time. No matter who's performing in a vaudeville show, there's always something that's going to get your attention.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention those two things. Arts in Arlington.
So that's really fun, and I'm also a theater person, so I appreciate the plug for any kind of theater things that are happening. But so did you, when you were doing theater things, did you go through like vaudeville training also? Because I remember like clowning being a portion of it, but then you just kind of touch on the history of vaudeville without ever actually like, we didn't do a vaudeville like performance. There wasn't like a vaudeville part of school.
I think in my theater background, if people were interested in doing those specific things, it was very, if you're interested in clowning, here's what you do. If you're interested in, dramatic theater, here's what you do. If you're, vaudeville has music, solely music performances too, right? So if
Yeah.
you're, doing that, I think, I think it's different these days, not just these days, but after vaudeville, where people are not as, they're not as widespread in maybe their training, right? So they're
Mhm.
not, what do they call? It's an old phrase, triple threat, right? When
Yep.
people could sing, act, and dance. I think that was much more common maybe in those vaudeville days when you had to do that in order to kind of get your living, right? To be able to do all these things and be versatile. Not that that's a bad thing to specialize either, but I think, maybe that's coming back a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit more interest in this variety. Because I think it's kind of gone away for a while, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's coming back. It'd be nice.
Like the one-man band.
Right.
Well,
Is-
variety shows definitely, I feel like, have ebbed and flows.
Right.
Like even in the like late night Johnny Carson
Yep.
style of shows. Conan had one that was more variety than others, and then it also went away, and they tried to bring back game type shows. So I think there is always going to be some interest in like. I also find that's true to be true with like things like sketch shows.
Mhm.
Where it's like, yeah, they come and they go, but there's always kind of some interest for. I think it necessitates being so creative.
Yep.
Like you have to do so much in such a limited amount of time,
Right.
which I think is cool. That's fantastic for me. I don't think I could succeed at doing anything like vaudevillian at all.
It's fun to watch, though.
It's
right?
great fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a cautionary tale for homeowners in Arlington,
Oh, please tell.
owners of older homes.
Oh.
Yes. So yesterday morning, I looked out and the DPW is digging up our street. So I go
Mhm,
down and see, why are you digging up our street?
Yeah.
And knowing they probably had a good reason. So,
Sure.
well, there's a water leak.
Mm.
Okay. Well, how do you know there's a water leak? Well, apparently they go around town and they listen every few years or a couple of years or something. They have a listening device that can detect gushing water.
Mm.
So first they dug in the middle of the street, and then they dug closer to our house.
Ooh.
And I'm walking by after I walked my dog, and he said, "Yeah, here's what we replaced." So the copper line comes in from the street, right?
Mhm.
It's beautiful. It's gleaming. It's not leaking. And it goes into our rusty iron pipe from the
Oh.
1920s, probably.
Mhm.
So if you have an old home, he gave us a list. I think his name is Matt, the head of the construction crew, and he gave us a list of companies that will send a camera down your pipes, and it's really worth it to prevent that kind of stuff because you can be paying hundreds or thousands of extra water bill and I think we can also get our sewer line lined clay. It's a clay pipe, I think, and they line it with PVC or something like that. And but they send a camera down and they'll tell you what condition your pipes are in.
Like a pipe
That's what
colonoscopy.
exactly
Yes,
what I was gonna say.
yes. And you don't even have
Somebody
to.
had to say
You don't even have to drink this stuff.
Oh.
I'm
No, you're
fascinated
relaxed.
by the listening device. So do
Yeah.
you see them listening? Do you see them listening?
No.
or
They
this is
apparently
post-listening?
they contract with a company that goes around town and detects these leaks.
Oh wow.
And he said when they dug it up, it was actually just spraying
Oh.
quite
it's accurate.
significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I say, how do you know that? How can you listen? It's like 6 feet down the pit that they dug.
Did you
Yeah.
see the device at all? Like, was it-
Yeah,
okay.
I have a
about the
picture of it.
device.
I
like
can
a
send it.
large stethoscope, or what is it?
No,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see the camera.
Oh, okay.
But the companies that come to fix your pipes, they put the camera down.
Okay.
Yeah, so the listening device is just an audio pickup thing, I guess. I don't know.
Interesting.
So yeah.
I'm just curious, like you mentioned, like the leaking, how it would affect your water bill. I'm just curious, like
yeah.
how much it impacted, if it's really like
Yeah.
spread
I
out.
asked
spraying
them,
water.
were we paying for that?
Yeah.
And no, because it was I don't know. It's just right at the interface between the town's line and our line.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
our pipe could definitely spring a leak.
Yeah.
And then we would be paying for it,
So it's so funny to me that you mentioned this because I was just watching just a random science communications video yesterday that was talking about plumbers that look the way that they look through the pipes is that with just a camera that goes up to your toilet and then down, and you're only responsible as a homeowner for the pipe as far as it goes to the connection to the street, because that is public. So then, if it was along there, then it's a kind of a gray area.
Yeah, and they were nice enough to, they didn't make a big deal about it. Our pipes, they just said, you really probably want to get this fixed or, get this replaced. Or
That's not a cheap fix, I bet, either.
Oh, no, but the more expensive fix would be if you had to do these things one at a time, the sewer, the
Right.
water and the gas. Yeah. So
I've been seeing the National Grid trucks, I think. There are vans, I should say, that have been kind of parked over by.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The water place?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they might be just out doing a bunch of those kind of checks
Those
on
kinds of things. Yeah. I mean, thank God they do. I mean, can you believe you can actually turn on your water tap and drink the water? It's amazing to me.
Right.
We do have Brita filters and stuff, but
of course.
But you're not going to be poisoned if you drink it, and it's just like so much of the world has, doesn't have that luxury of.
I mean, narrowed down, there are so many places in the United States that you can't drink the
except
water.
for Detroit.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, so I grew up when I was very young, under the age of 6. I was in Michigan.
Yeah.
And
Flint,
my
right.
parents I don't think they ever thought about that. And then obviously after we move to Maine, they then get a filtration system. And I'm still drinking the tap because I'm like, well, we're no longer, like in my mind, I was like, well, it's fine. I mean, and even to this day, I mean, in Somerville, I've lived in Brighton even, and I always feel like the tap is just, it's fine. Like, I don't feel like it's done anything bad to me. I don't know.
I'd trust it in New England more than most places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love watching those new trash, the automatic trash thing. Have you noticed? Have
the
you
trucks,
seen?
You mean that?
Yeah. Did you know that you can get overflow bags?
Yes.
I had not know that until I asked Google. What happens if you
What happens if I have more trash?
More trash. But it's usually we have more recycling.
Actually, with that, I will say the last thing that I will plug on this podcast is the news will be covering all of EcoFest in Arlington. So we've got a ton of events that are upcoming in the month of May, and we're going to be at as many things as possible. So I will ask our viewers, our listeners, our members and non-members, anyone in Arlington, please attend those events, and please also send us your photos, send us your videos of you and your family members and your friends doing those things. There's going to be a bee talk. There's the swap shed that's being open. There is a lot of interesting discussions. They're doing an eco fair at the high school. They're doing a intro to electric vehicles, which I think is awesome because I'd love to be able to sit in an electric car and just enjoy messing around with that. Maybe for the news. I'll say it's for the news. And yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great to have everyone participating and doing that. And it's an awesome event that happens every year in Arlington. And it does not happen in every place in Massachusetts. It doesn't happen at every place in the country. It's really cool that we care so much about sustainability and the environment here. And so I wanted to celebrate that one last time before saying thanks for listening to Amplify Arlington. If you missed anything or want to listen again, find us on ACMi's YouTube page or wherever you get your podcasts. ACMi, focused on you.
I'm so upset that you didn't say, speaking of so much trash, or too much trash.
No, can't. Speaking of too much trash.
Perfect.
Oh.